The date was August 7th, 1963. It was nearly 3 a.m. A very special train, the Royal Mail, was tearing through the darkness at full speed, heading from Glasgow, Scotland toward London. This train's 12 carriages weren't carrying ordinary passengers. Instead, its last 2 carriages held the personal property of the Queen of England, a full £3 million, worth billions in today's money. The train's driver, Jack Mills, sat in his seat staring into the thick darkness ahead. Everything seemed completely normal, but just 40 kilometers from London, near Bridego Bridge, something strange happened. A red light suddenly appeared on the signal panel. Jack slammed the emergency brake, and with a terrifying screech of iron wheels, the train ground to a halt in the desolate darkness. Jack assumed it was probably just a simple signal fault. He had no idea he was standing at death's door. The moment the signal turned red, 15 masked men emerged from both sides of the tracks, moving toward the train like shadows. They carried weapons, and their intentions were crystal clear. They knew exactly which carriage held how much money. These were no ordinary thieves. These were men who had sworn to become the biggest headache in British police history. Whatever happened that night beneath that lonely bridge would rob Britain of its sleep for years to come. And those 15 men began their work without uttering a single word. The foundation of this terrifying night had actually been laid months earlier. The mastermind behind this entire operation was a man named Bruce Reynolds. Bruce was no ordinary criminal. He was an exceptionally sharp-minded man who ran small-time heists with his gang. But one day, a clerk friend of his gave him a secret tip about the Royal Mail train that set his mind racing. £3 million. Bruce realized that if this job succeeded, 7 generations of his family would live comfortably. But this was no child's play. Robbing the Queen's fortune from a moving train was practically a suicide mission. To pull off this mission, Bruce needed a perfect team. He recruited a signals expert they called the Florist, brought in a train driver, and most importantly, he made a high-ranking insider within the railway his 16th member. This insider would keep them informed of the train's every movement. For this operation, they paid cash for an old farmhouse called Leather Slade Farm, a few miles from the robbery site, to hide out afterward. Bruce gave his team one strict life-or-death instruction. No matter what happened, even if it cost you your life, nobody was to remove their gloves under any circumstances. A single fingerprint meant certain death for everyone. Back at Bridego Bridge, the masked men had boarded the train. Their plan was crystal clear. Detach the ordinary carriages from the main engine, since their target was only the last 2 carriages holding the money. But then something went badly wrong. While uncoupling the carriages, in the tension and rush, the train's pressure pipe broke. Bruce's own train driver, despite every effort, couldn't get the engine running. Panic spread through the entire team in that moment. Sweat broke out. If the train didn't move, the police could arrive at any second. This was the moment the fight for survival began. Out of desperation, they brutally beat the train's actual driver, Jack Mills. Jack was bloodied, gasping for breath. But under the shadow of guns, they forced the half-conscious driver to fix the pressure pipe. With trembling hands, Jack drove the train to the designated point where Bruce waited with an army-colored truck. As soon as the train stopped, they formed a human chain. Hearts were racing, time was slipping away like sand. In just half an hour, they loaded 120 heavy bags of cash onto that army truck. No sound, only heavy breathing filled the air. The moment the job was done, the truck vanished into the thick darkness like a ghost, leaving behind an injured driver and a piece of history that could never be erased. Before dawn broke, they had all reached Leatherslade Farmhouse. Outside it was raining. Inside, the atmosphere was something else entirely. When they opened the bags of cash, silence fell over the room. Bruce and his companion's eyes widened in disbelief. The room was piled with mountains of notes, 100 times more than they'd expected. But this joy lasted only a few moments. Suddenly they realized this wasn't a bank's money. It was directly the British Crown's, the Queen's money. The government would hunt them down to the ends of the earth. Just then a news flash came over the farmhouse's old radio that made the ground shift beneath their feet. The radio anchor announced that police would search every single house within a 30-mile radius of the crime scene because an eyewitness had spotted a fake army truck passing near the bridge. Hearing this, the color drained from Bruce's face. He immediately gave the order, "Burn everything, leave no evidence behind." In a hurry, they divided the money, embraced one another, and swore that even if someone got caught, they would never reveal anyone's name until their dying breath. Then they all scattered, each going their own way. Meanwhile, all of Britain was in uproar. The theft of the Queen's treasure was no small matter. The government handed responsibility for cracking the case to Scotland Yard's sharpest and most stubborn detective, Tommy Butler. Tommy was a man who, once he got on a target's trail, wouldn't let go until he'd caught his prey. Butler received word from his sources that a small town's farmhouse had seen several unknown vehicles coming and going over the past few days. Without wasting a second, Butler raided Leatherslade Farmhouse with his team. When police went inside, there was no one there. Everything was deserted. Bruce and his team had made every effort to destroy and burn the evidence. But when a person is afraid, they inevitably make mistakes. Amid the ashes, police found a locket. Then their eyes fell on a table where a Monopoly board game sat. Perhaps the robbers had played it to pass the night. And on that very game board, police found exactly what Bruce had feared most: fingerprints left without gloves. Those fingerprints made the police's job easy. The investigation began, and one by one, faces were unmasked. First, Bruce's close friend Charlie Wilson was caught. Then the signalman, and then the rest. Nearly every member of that perfect gang had made some foolish mistake. While fleeing, one had paint stuck to his shoe, another had left a strand of hair at the farmhouse. When they were brought before the court, the judge's anger knew no bounds. All of them were sentenced to 30 years of rigorous imprisonment. Never before in English legal history had such a heavy sentence been given. It was a punishment worse than death itself. But the police's biggest failure was that the mastermind behind this entire plan, Bruce Reynolds, remained far beyond their reach. Bruce had gone underground with his heavy share of the money, along with his wife and child. Every day he changed his name, changed his disguise, and fled from one country to another. Years passed, but this cat-and-mouse game didn't end. Bruce's life had become like a golden cage. Plenty of money, but not a moment's peace. Every night, even a faint sound at the door would drench him in sweat. Once, the police came right up to his front door. But Bruce had disguised himself so cleverly that even seeing him face to face, they couldn't recognize him, and he escaped once again. On the other side, Detective Tommy Butler's retirement was approaching, but Butler flatly refused to retire. He told the government, "Until I put handcuffs on Bruce, I won't rest in peace." Catching Bruce was no longer just Butler's duty. It had become the sole purpose of his life. Butler was 100% certain that such a precise robbery couldn't have happened without help from some senior official inside the railway. But as many of Bruce's companions rotted away in prison, not one of them, despite brutal beatings, ever let that 16th insider's name slip from their lips. Time kept turning, and the year 1968 arrived. 5 years had passed since the incident. Bruce, from constantly running, was now completely exhausted. His family longed for a normal life. Then one day, the phone rang in Tommy Butler's office. An anonymous call. The caller revealed only where Bruce was at that moment. To this day, it remains a mystery who made that call. Was someone jealous of Bruce's money? Was someone tempted by a reward? Or had someone close to Bruce betrayed him? Whatever the reason, that one call changed history. A massive police force surrounded the town, and finally, after 5 long years of pursuit, mastermind Bruce Reynolds was arrested. As handcuffs were placed on him, there was a strange calm on his face, as if he himself was tired of running. He too received a lengthy 25-year sentence. Police tortured him in every way, tempted him with every incentive to get him to reveal the name of that 16th railway insider. But Bruce kept his lips sealed until the end. He never broke his promise. The most painful and shocking truth of this entire story emerged 8 years after the robbery. In all those years, police had recovered only 10% of the £3 million. Where the remaining 90% had gone, nobody knew. But in 1971, a storm arrived that changed everything. The British government changed its currency regulations, and the old currency was completely discontinued. This meant, quite simply, that the millions of pounds Bruce and his companions had stolen, risking their lives, turning their entire existence into hell, turned overnight into nothing but worthless paper. Decades later, when Bruce, now old, was released from prison, there was nothing left in his life. No money, no family happiness. Some filmmakers approached him wanting to make a documentary about the incident, on the condition that he tell the whole truth. Only then did Bruce, in front of the camera, finally name the railway official. Because by then, that man had already died. And true to his promise, Bruce had never spoken his name while he was still alive. By the end of the story, tears filled Bruce's eyes. Weeping, he could only wonder whether that money, that fortune, had truly been worth spending an entire life behind bars and in fear. The world still wonders to this day whether they'd spent that missing 90% before the currency changed, or whether the treasure from history's greatest robbery became nothing more than termite food in some forgotten cellar. A fortune that ruined everyone who touched it. Bruce Reynolds stole the world's greatest treasure, but in the end, he lost his own life.